All right, Rick and Amy, are you ready on your end?
Yeah, we are.
Excellent. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Ted Harris, and I'm with the Pennsylvania Petroleum Association. I'd like to welcome you to our monthly webinar series, which takes place the first Tuesday of each month. Before we get started here this morning, I would like to encourage you to ask questions via the question feature and go to webinar. You're going to be on mute for the duration of the webinar today, but at the end, we'll take your questions and we'll moderate them. I will moderate them back to our presenters. At this point, I would like to introduce our presenters. We have Rick Burgan, who's the Executive Director with USTIF, and Amy Steiner, who is the Claim Manager with USTIF. Rick and Amy will be covering USTIF distributor regulations and reporting requirements this morning. And at this point, I'd like to pass it off to Rick and Amy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. And just initially here, we appreciate the opportunity, for you to set this up and reach out to our members, or your members. Also understand we've got a bunch of. I'd like to extend a welcome to our DEP folks that are also on the webinar as well. We're gonna dance around this morning. We're gonna cover a lot of stuff. Most of it we're gonna try and orient it to distributor reporting and regulations. A little bit of background about the program, and then where we're at and where we're at now. My name is Rick Burgan. I've been with the program area for 8 years. I was the claims manager actually for 4 years, and then 4 years ago I was elevated to the position of director of the bureau. With me today is my claims manager, Amy Steiner, who has been with the program for 12.5 years. She was a claims evaluator for 8.5 years, and then was promoted 4 years ago. Also in the background here, who wish to remain nameless, I've got the Bureau's IT team, which actually assisted me in developing in the system, and we are still going through some developing on it. But if we get into the weeds at the end with some technical questions, I'm going to pass it off to them. But so we've got our team here. Hopefully we can disseminate a lot of information to you, clear up any misunderstandings, answer any questions you have, and we'll go from there. So what is USTIF? The USTIF was stands for Underground Storage Tank Indemnification Fund. It was created out of an EPA mandate back in 1988. After several years of planning, discussions, USTIF officially was born on February 1st, 1994. So we are celebrating our 25th anniversary of the system and providing financial responsibility for the tank owners in Pennsylvania. What's it do? It provides financial responsibility requirements in the event of a release from a regulated underground storage tank. EPA saw that there was a niche in the market back in the late 80s. There wasn't a lot of pollution coverage available. In fact, there's not a lot of pollution coverage available today. To our knowledge, there's only about 12 or 13 companies that will write a pollution coverage policy. So we do fill an important void in the marketplace. How are we funded? We have two fee structures. For your distributors, you know that it's 1.1 cents per gallon on the throughput. And as an interesting note, those throughput fees generate 89% of all of USTIF's revenue. So basically, that's what we're paying claims with. The other side of the coin is the capacity fees, which basically for the diesel tank owners, they're 8.25 cents a gallon. They make up about the rest of the 11% revenue per year. That covers just a little background. What governs our program essentially is the storage, Act 1989, Act 33 of 89, which is Storage Tank Spill and Prevention Act. Spun off of that is what is known as Chapter 977, and we have put Chapter 977 up on our website. This really drives the program area's functions. It's our Bible, as we call it. Chapter 977 covers fees and penalties, claim coverage, covers the heating oil tank program, which is a minor spin-off of the program, It also covers dispute procedures. Embedded within Chapter 977 is the requirements of distributors dropping fuel in Pennsylvania. So it sets forth on the screen there the 6 main requirements for you folks. Distributors required to collect the gallon fees directly from the UST owner or operator. There are some instances where you do not do that. If an individual's contracts their own hauler and drops it in there, they will pay on their own. Folks from out of state distributors are a little bit different. You know, if somebody from Maryland's dropping fuel, Maryland, I can't extend our regulations to them, so they either do it voluntarily or they force that reporting requirement down to the Pennsylvania facility owner. So each month, a distributor completes a gallon fee statement to the fund and sends it in based on the amount of product that was dropped into an underground storage tank. The gallon fee is then based on those fuel gallons dropped times 0.011. In regards to our online reporting cycles, say each month the distributor is required to go online and make an upload of his deliveries. If you get into a situation where you did not make any deliveries for a month, the system's going to bark at you because we require 0 reporting months. So if you drop fuel in April and then go to August and drop fuel again, you know, like racing fuel, marina fuels, things like that, the system will require you basically to go back to June and put a 0 ticket in, July 0 ticket, August 0 ticket, and then it'll let you upload through September. We still see those little quirks coming around. I say you've got to keep good records. Invoices need to be provided to the tank owner at the time of delivery. Extremely important is the number of gallons be recorded on each delivery invoice. During the claims eligibility process, we do ask for those invoices from the tank owner to check to see that the fee is actually being charged. So we like to see that itemization on the bill of lading or the ticket that you're dropping at the facility. If a distributor is placing fuel into their own USTs for redistribution at a later date, the distributor is also required to remit fees for the gallons he put in his own tank. This is so that if you've got holding tanks on your property, that you get coverage in the event of a claim. So we cover several bulk plants. You know, most of you folks understand are going to the rack, you pick it up, you take it to the facility, and you drop it. But however, we do know there's instances where you're getting large amounts of fuel, putting it into your facility for temporary storage, taking it back out of that tank, and then dropping it at the tank owner's site. If you put that fuel into your own tank, you need to pay us the 1.1 cents so that you have the coverage in the event of a claim at your own bulk plant. Moving on. The gallon fee, there is a gallon fee for prompt reporting. So basically what you're going to do is, for example, if you dropped fuel in May, you're required to report that by the end of June into our system. If you do it before the end of the month, you get to apply a 1% discount to the USTIF fees. If it's after the end of the month, then you're not allowed to have that fee. We have this fee already programmed into our system. So when you upload, it recognizes the date that you're going to upload. It computes everything for you. But yeah, to get the fee, report within 30 days of the end of the preceding month, and you definitely get the discount. Recently, I know there's some questions here and there about what types of substances, do we need to report for. That is on our website under the fee area. We actually have the website divided into 3 sections: tank installers, which is a small portion of the program, facility owners and distributors. You've got your own section there. If you go in there under fees, it will tell you exactly what type of products that you should be sending fees in for. I've listed the main ones basically here. The big one is gasoline. We've seen new motor oil out at trucking facilities and things like that. I've actually had antifreeze and windshield fluids at your large trucking terminals that we cover as well. Aviation fuel, gasohol, and in rare instances, foreign diesel when you're dropping it out there. If the distributor has any question whatsoever as to what type of product he should be reporting and remitting fees for, first check the website. If we've still got a question, circle back to us via an email. We'll give you some contact information later on in the presentation. All right, at this point in time, we're going to switch over to a little bit of background on our new fee billing system that we rolled out almost just a little bit over 2 years ago, and I will let Amy handle that through for the next couple of slides, and I'll jump in as needed. So, Amy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for everyone attending this important webinar. Hopefully it'll improve tank owners' responsibility to demonstrate financial responsibility under the Storage Tank Act. As Rick said, I've been with the program for 12 and a half years, first as an evaluator and now as the manager as of 2015. And that was about the time the fee billing system was under construction. This was not an off-the-shelf product that we purchased. This was through the procurement process that we built from the ground up. We had a lot of stakeholders help us, but our internal IT department was instrumental in creating the delivery reports that the distributors upload to us. Let's concentrate a little bit on the fee billing system now. We currently have 394 distributors using the online system, and this was established on July 1st, 2017. So we're 2 years into the program. We do realize we need to go through some enhancements in the near future, but for all intents and purposes, people are able to report fees on behalf of the tank owners, notably the throughput fees. The system is facility ID centric. Everything starts with the facility ID, including a claim. If a claim is reported, it's not based on where the site is. It is based on the facility ID number, which is a 2-digit number followed by a dash and then 5 numbers. That's the universe we live in the fee billing system. When distributors report the gallon fees, what we're looking for is the bill of lading, the facility ID number, the tank sequence number. We want to know if the tank is manifolded or not, the delivery date, the gallons, and the product. We do have some formatting. As an example, tank number has to be preceded by 2 zeros. 2 leading zeros and then the number. If you try to put in a figure and it will not accept it, you'll get a soft error telling you to correct it. The system also has the ability to compute the fee for you and the discount. So we find that very helpful for the distributors. You should also know that the data in our system, as I said earlier, is DEP facility identification number centric. Every week we receive an upload from DEP with data changes. So weekly we are updating our system based on the changes the tank owner may be making with the DEP. That includes taking tanks in and out of service, installing tanks, what have you.
I'll jump in there, Amy.
Sure.
Amy touched on a good point here. Our system is populated on data we receive from our sister a regulatory agency, the Department of Environmental Protection. Occasionally, a distributor will see a lag time. Okay, so, you've got a brand new facility or a rebuild by Sheets, where they're redesigning. It takes a while to get that paperwork processed, through DEP and then back to us. So sometimes you are dropping fuel into a tank which may not yet be in our system. Don't be alarmed. I say there's a lag time, till DEP gets it through their registration and permitting unit down there. It's then batched up on a feed which comes over to our operation sometime Monday evening. Monday evening, Tuesday morning, and then we disseminate that into our system, update it, and go from there. If you get into a situation where you are trying to report to a facility number and the system's erroring you out, it doesn't exist, then send us a note. Oftentimes we'll have you park those deliveries, for a couple of weeks or a month. Sometimes we'll just defer you to the next month and have you report it. Sometimes we need to let the system catch up to any changes or modification that DEP's entering.
Thanks, sir. The other feature the fee billing system has is, second to the last bullet point, is the system will automatically compute the amount to be remitted. And again, like Rick said, everything is coming from the DEP data system. Moving to the next slide. Internal controls. Internal controls, it's a big issue with Governor Wolf, and it flows into our program area as well. We are directly dependent on the money we receive from fees to pay claims. Now, granted, we do invest some of the money. However, without the collection of the fees, we would not be able to pay claims. So that's very important. It's also important for the tank owner to demonstrate financial responsibility under the federal act. EPA watches our funding to see how much money we're bringing in and how much we're paying out. So without that money, like I said, we would not be able to exist. Unfortunately, if a distributor errs and forgets or doesn't think the tank owner is subject to the throughput fee, that negatively impacts the tank owner in the event they have a release and they report the release to the fund. As we go forward and we receive more data and history in the fee billing system, we will be able to tell on the fly if the fees current at the time of discovery. But some of the reporting that we're seeing so far in the fee billing system, for an example, distributors are reporting for one tank. However, there might be 5 tanks on the site that are subject to throughput fees. So we have to do a calculation showing that they truly are, in fact, reporting for all the tanks. So it's very important the accuracy of what you're filling at the site is reflected in what you upload to us. With the advent of the fee billing system, it's aggregated by the tank number. So first, we're facility ID centric, and then we drill down to the tank number. Going electronically allows us to improve the quality and timeliness of the fees that the tank owner is paying into the program. And again, it helps owners with the claims. One less thing they have to worry about, considering we have 6 eligibility requirements to make a claim eligible. The DEP is also using the fee billing system as a read-only, as far as making sure that the tank owner's fees are current. So again, we're trying to be collaborating with DEP, not trying to do their jobs, obviously, but trying to help them look at the system on the fly to see if the fees are current when they're doing an inspection. Moving to the next slide. Common issues we're seeing that we would like to see corrected voluntarily. Incorrect or improper reporting, and I'll go back to, there are several tanks at the site that are subject to throughput fees, but we're only seeing a report for one tank. The other thing is collecting the fee from the owner and not submitting to USTIF. There is a regulation in Chapter 977 that will give the owner coverage if they can demonstrate that they paid the fee to the distributor, but the distributor did not remit it to the fund. And that has happened, notably with out-of-state distributors. Some distributors think some facilities are tax exempt. We do have facilities that are not participating, and those would be authorities, commissions, state agencies, and federal agencies. But you may have some quasi-state agencies, or a municipality is my best example. Because it's considered government, it's not a state agency, it's not the federal government. They must participate. We also see distributors thinking that it's the tank owner's responsibility to remit fees. All Pennsylvania distributors are required to collect and remit the fee to us. Out-of-state distributors, as Rick said earlier, we consider them foreign. We can't make them participate. In those situations, we'll allow the tank owner to set up a distributor account and report the fee on their own. The other thing we would like to see corrected is a specific line item on your invoice to the owner that the USTIF fee was charged to the tank owner. And moving to the next slide, Rick. Helpful hints. When we started the distributor report in 2015, we collected a placard, and that's how our reporting is reflected. If you look at the placard that's displayed at the site, our reporting tool should match the placard. We rely on that placard to show what tanks are out there, if it's valid, it's not expired. As I said earlier, only certain facilities are exempt from the USTIF fees, and they're listed there: commissions, authorities, federal and state agencies. We do have some farms that may or may not be subject to the gallon fees, and the simple rule, although there aren't many of them, is this. They have to be listed as farm or agricultural and have a diesel tank that is subject to the throughput fee of 1,100 gallons or less, and they cannot be used for commercial purposes. And that concludes my webinar. The last slide will show you how to reach us. For technical support, we have a 24/7 help desk that is an email address using the Zendesk. You'll be assigned a ticket number. As you see there, we experienced a high volume during December and January because in December, we mailed the capacity fee statement, which is the responsibility of the tank owner to pay. And then general questions that you have for the fee billing, there's also a website.
And I'll just circle back to a couple of notes that I've got. So there's a lot of information on our website. We've tried to put up everything we can regarding reporting. You say some of the issues that I've seen come across my desk have been, back to some common issues that we need to correct. We see improper facility ID numbers. We see incorrect tank numbers. That affects Amy's unit. So if a claim is reported on one facility number, she indicated this whole system, our whole program is facility ID centric. DEP never changes those facility ID numbers, and that's why we went that route. So we'll always be there. If somebody pops a claim in, the first thing Amy does is pull the facility ID number. If there's no throughput deliveries there, then we've got an issue. It just bogs the process down. This system was basically designed, one reason was for transparency. As you're aware, many moons ago, only about 7 people had access to the system. Now we've got over 4,000 users that can actually, look behind the curtain. They can get in there. Distributors can see what they're reporting. Tank owners can see what they're receiving. They can check fees. We've got our partners at DEP that can check compliance when they go out on inspections. And it also improves the claims process. And tank owners are required to prove their fees are paid. If we can go into your records and show that they paid you, that's another aspect of the claim eligibility process that has been streamlined as a result of this. Back to the tax exempt. At the beginning of the year, we did an outreach. We saw a common theme. It was municipalities and school districts. And we had one of our revenue staffers really do an outreach through some email traffic back and forth to school district and municipalities. We found out a lot of those folks were not paying. They were under the belief that they were tax exempt. We actually had a couple of claims excluded, so we took a deeper dive into the system. But school districts and municipalities are not tax exempt, so we need to provide coverage to them, so we need to be charging the correct fees. Now, if you've got a question, give us an email and we'll get back to you. Just as a matter of routine, this program is for USTs. We saw one distributor a few months ago report 3 deliveries to an above-ground storage tank, and it got through the system. We are slowly going to begin putting some hard errors on the system. We're 26, 27 months out from the system. We've allowed some soft errors to go through as we move on from this period. We're going to start tightening the system up. Hopefully those kinds of things will be prevented, but this is for underground storage tank, fuel tanks only. It's not for ASTs. They're not covered in the program. Be cognizant of your locations. I say back to the facility numbers. Last month or 2 months ago, we ran into a situation. We could pull a lot more data than what we used to out of the old system. So we are tracking 90-day tank reports. If we see a tank that has a fuel drop in 90 days, we either think it's leaking or it's been taken out of service or they're not remitting fees. In this instance, we pulled a report and found 4 facilities that hadn't had any fuel drops for about 6 months. We circled back to the distributor and discovered that this distributor had been reporting deliveries for 5 of his clients' locations into 1 tank at 1 location. That kind of stuff gives us heartburn. And it gives the claims unit heartburn. It gives the IT guys heartburn. So be very cognizant. When you drop fuel at a location, it must be tracked and it must be invoiced. So, with that said, we've covered everything for the formal webinar. So, Ted, I'm not sure how you go through question and answers, but we'll be glad to, see what you've got and answer them the best we can.
Absolutely. Rick and Amy, thank you very much. I think we had a small technical difficulty on the front end of the webinar, which is our fault. But I want to remind people that are on the webinar, you can ask questions. You're on mute, but you can type them in through the question feature and go to webinar and ask that way. So at the moment, we don't have any questions, but we'll give it about 30 seconds here to see if anything comes in.
They're not manifolded, don't put manifolded.
Oh, okay.
Then Rick, in the meantime too, would you mind going back to the slide just to show your general contact information in case anyone is
Yeah,
perfect. Thank you.
I'd say, and that's, you can reach us anytime there. I'd say if you got a technical issue, please don't use the resource account. We've got our developers set up in Fairfax, Virginia. And they monitor this line a lot more. So if you're having a technical issue, passwords, screen names, please go through there. General questions such as, I can't find a tank. What products should I be reporting? Is this facility tax exempt? those can come through our resource account, which is accessible through a different link on the website. One of my IT team members spoke up. He said, watch out for manifolded tanks. There's not a lot out there, but we're seeing a lot come through on the reporting. A lot of folks are labeling things as manifolded tanks when they're actually not, and that is causing some data burps here and there.
Again, that could possibly come back to claim eligibility,
Right.
because a certain tank sequence number is not being reported to.
Okay, we did get a question. I was going to tell you did such a good job, Rick, that there weren't any questions, but we did get one that came in here. So could you please clarify farm account exemption?
You say farms?
Yes, farm accounts. Yep.
Okay, Amy will tackle that one.
Okay. If they're listed as a farm or agricultural and have a diesel tank, it's subject to the throughput fee. Farm or residential tanks of 1,100 gallons or less in capacity and not used for commercial purposes are exempt.
So it's got to be over 1,100 gallons, right? Yeah. If you got a farm tank, it's over 1,100 gallons, then it's subject to throughput. Otherwise, we're billing those as capacity, I believe.
Okay. Hold on. I just had a big one come in here. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to read this verbatim. Commercial purpose include grain trucking. Does that make sense on your end? I guess
Not
the person
really.
that asked that could kind of clarify. That'd be great. We did have another one too. How is a distributor to determine the difference between tanks which are to be charged the 0.011 fee versus the tanks which are already covered by paying the annual capacity fee? This came up once with a facility that we delivered to, and we had to specifically reach out to our contact at USTIF for verification. She determined that they were not to be charged a USTIF fee because they had documentation that they paid the annual capacity fee. We never heard of this before.
Well, it's all back to your substances. Back in the beginning there, if I can find it. Right there, say the throughput, the substances the distributors should be charging fees for are right here. They should be listed. I understand the products should be on the DEP placard as well.
The other thing is, if they would happen to put, for instance, a diesel information in, it'll take it in the system, but if you look to the right-hand side, it will not charge them a capacity or a throughput fee. It knows which substances should actually get charged a fee and which ones shouldn't.
Excellent. Going back to the question that I asked before, the most recent one, does the exemption include trucking grain by the farmer? So I guess, I don't know, to my understanding, it's, it really doesn't matter if it's grain or any other farming product. It's more about the 1,100 gallons in regards to the capacity. Is that correct?
That's correct, right. Yeah, he can use it for whatever purpose he wants to. Running tractors, farm vehicles, hauling grain. It's just the amount, the size of the tank at the farm location. Say, once again, if somebody's got a question, send us an email. But the standard rule is 1,100 gallons or more diesel at a farm facility, they're being charged the throughput fee.
Okay. I think you briefly touched on this in regards to heating oil and the optional portion of it, but the direct question is fuel oil, heating oil, a reportable product?
If they're participating.
But it's not
no, it's not a throughput fee.
That's right.
No, our optional heating program is for commercial tanks. They're 3,000 gallons or more, and they have to actually opt into the program. Where we see this most is hospitals for backup generators and colleges, universities, that they're running their boiler plants and heating. But that is subject to a capacity fee that we invoice internally here. If you're dropping, heating oil, it is not subject to the throughput fee.
And if you do want to essentially opt into it, it has to be a 3,000 gallon or more underground tank, correct?
Yeah, but that's built on a capacity basis, so distributors don't need to worry about that.
Okay. We don't have any other questions here at the moment, so I hope everyone saw your contact information, and if for some reason you didn't and you want to reach out to myself, I'd be more than happy to connect you with Rick and Amy. But I appreciate the department's willingness to do the webinar here today. And Rick and Amy, thank you for your time, and everyone else there at USTIF.
Yeah, no problem. We appreciate you facilitating this for us and giving us the opportunity.
Absolutely. I hope everyone has a great day.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right. See you.